We are live. You're watching the Merged Marketing Podcast. You're listening to the Merged Marketing Podcast. And in today's episode, we're talking about the gaps to creating modern digital experiences. And right there with me today is Shamir Duverseau. Now, Shamir is an excellent person to be talking about this topic because he's worked with some of the big brands such as Southwest Airlines, Disney, and NBC Universal. Welcome to the show, Shamir.
Thank you very much for having me.
Awesome. Maybe we could start off by you telling us a bit about your journey in marketing and what got you to where you are today.
Sure. So started off in marketing in the late 90s, just doing some work in market research and product marketing, and found out pretty quickly I had a bit of an affinity for the technical aspect of things, which at that time was more kind of back-end operational aspects of marketing. But very quickly, as the internet started to become bigger and bigger and bigger, a lot of the companies that I was obviously associated with began to see that this online thing is going to be a huge part of our business, and we need to start investing a little time and energy and resources into it. So happened to be in the right place at the right time with the right kind of skill set, and those things kind of all came together for me. They basically transferred me and said, "You're not going to work on this website thing." And kind of jumped in, started working with web analytics, started working with online feedback, started doing A/B testing in the early days. And from there, it just really took off, and started that work at NBC Universal for the most part, and went on to do that at a little bit Disney and then at Marriott. And that kind of brought me to where I am today.
That's pretty cool. It's that side of marketing is typically not the sexiest for a lot out there, but somebody's got to specialize in it, right? And obviously, there's a lot of importance to it. Maybe Shamir, what you can do is tell us a bit about, explain what modern digital transformation is in your opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can find thousands of different definitions of digital transformation. But for me, it's really about saying there is this customer experience that people expect when they interact with things online, whether that's on a website, whether that's on their mobile app, whatever kind of online digital medium that they're interacting with. And being able to deliver that experience to people, giving them the information they're looking for, surfacing your products, being able to interact and take action on your products. All those things require a lot of work on the back end and to make it so that those things can be delivered to their customers on the front end. And to me, digital transformation is what a company has to do to align themselves to begin to deliver to their customers. If you're a younger company and you're starting out online, there's no real transformation per se to take place. But if you're a more established enterprise company, if you've been around for perhaps several decades or even longer, then your systems were probably not set up to be able to deliver the ability to sell your products and services on a website or via a mobile app. And it's going to take a lot of changing, a lot of communication, integration between those systems to do that. And that to me is digital transformation. It's transforming your technological backend to be able to deliver the modern digital customer experience that people expect.
I think a lot of people think digital transformation, that word has been thrown around quite a bit. And people think, oh, yeah, I'm digitally transformed. I refreshed my website, right? And that is a piece to it, but it's not the entire thing.
100%. That's honestly probably the easiest aspect of it. Delivering a website with good copy or good imagery is one thing, but being able to say that someone can service the product on the website, that they can purchase the product or multiple products, that they can make a reservation or a booking, being able to do those things online, that's what really transformation is about. It's about the ability for people to say, if I don't want to have to deal with anyone, if I don't want to have to pick up the phone or actually go to a physical place, but still be able to do full business with you, fully interact with you and your product and services, then that's what digital transformation should empower.
I think a lot of business owners, especially, they do get in their own way when it comes to doing the digital transformation, and they don't even realize it. Maybe you can explain or talk about some of the challenges that you're seeing on the front lines of trying to implement a digital transformation.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that happens, and it's probably our fault as marketers, we tend to be kind of scared of the technical aspect of things and try to stay away from that. So anything that we can do to kind of work around anything that's technical or operation heavy or focused, we try to do. And I think that's what ends up blocking people from being able to really engage into digital transformation. It's how can I perhaps spend more money in advertising and just drive more traffic and the people will kind of figure out what happens, after they click on that ad. And that's not what happens. That's not how people operate. But because we're so fearful of all the different aspects that need to happen on the IT side of things, of understanding who that person is, what are they doing on the website? Have they been here before? What did they do when they were here before? Are they a past customer? What did they buy? What kind of information do they need? Being able to answer all those questions ultimately in real time and surface content to make it easy for them, make it relevant, make this experience valuable, so people actually become customers and hopefully loyal customers. That's the part that can be a real challenge. And that's what we usually see. It's kind of shying away from that technical aspect of things. And by doing that, robbing yourself and ultimately your customers of the opportunity to have an experience that can lower acquisition costs and drive value.
Maybe we can hit on a specific example here, Shamir, specific to maybe the travel space. Like you have experience with Marriott, for example. What are some of the big improvements with digital transformation that a brand like that has made, and where some of maybe those smaller resorts are being left behind?
Yeah, I think Marriott, looking at Marriott.com, is a wonderful example of what's possible and what they've been able to empower people to do on their website. So the ability to go on there and obviously to be able to search hotel inventory, that's easy enough. But what information are people looking for about those different properties that they're seeing? Do they want to know the size of the room? Do they want to know the amenities? What kind of photographs and pictures do they want to be able to see? When was this property last renovated? Where exactly is it located? And Marriott's did a good job of really kind of surfacing that content, which of course is monumental to manage because of all the thousands of properties that Marriott has globally, and making sure that they're getting the most up-to-date information on that. Because you can imagine a disconnect if the website said one thing and then someone made a reservation, went there, and they saw something else. Oh, I didn't know that the pool was being renovated. I came here because you guys had a great pool and I wanted to bring my kids. You can see the kind of pain that would cause. So empowering those hotels to be able to keep their information up to date, to push that in real time on the website so people know what to expect. And then another great experience is the ability to purchase online with Marriott, the ability to log into your account, to keep track of your points, to be able to leverage and use your points, to search different discounted rates, and then ultimately to make those reservations, to modify those reservations. All those things really make Marriott's experience great because I never, if I don't choose to, have to deal with someone. I don't ever have to wait on hold to deal with someone to make a change to my reservation or an update to my booking. And you can see how that helps Marriott too, because that greatly lowers their operational costs. Now they don't need as many people on the phone to be able to answer those phone calls and deliver those experiences. So Marriott's just a great example of someone who's really thought through what do people need in order to make a decision, in order to interact with us in a digital format, and then how do we deliver that so that it's easy for them to be able to do it in that digital space.
Bang on, in the simplest possible way. And something that you touched on there, Shamir, was the element of transparency throughout that journey, right? Whether it's, a specific image of a room or a pool, and that's the expectation you have in your head prior to arriving at a Marriott. And if it's anything or deviates away from that idea, it's going to be a bad experience. And that all really stems from the ad itself that's maybe presented on a Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok. It's like that ad needs to marry that experience that they're seeing on the website. Thus, that experience on the website needs to mirror that experience they're actually going to have in person. So transparency is super important.
Yeah, that's a great example because it's that whole journey, right? Like what you're looking for is consistency as a customer. And again, it's easy to say, hey, I'm going to throw this great looking picture on this ad and I'm going to get the click. Well, that's wonderful. But if there's not consistency post-click, if I don't see that reinforced and say, where's that picture I saw of this property? That doesn't look like the picture I saw in the ad. This can't be the same property. The ad said this about the property, but now this says that. That inconsistently causes so much friction for people that they end up just bailing on the entire process, and you end up losing that person, but you still spent money to get them. So now your acquisition costs are going way up.
Case in point, I actually had this experience happen to me. I was speaking at an event in Istanbul, and I booked my room on bookings.com, and I saw a beautiful room. It looked amazing. By the time I got there, I was not in that room, and immediately left a bad taste in my mouth. But it's almost like this has happened before for the actual hotel, because the minute I went down there and made comment of it, they changed my room right away and gave me the room I asked for. But it's like alleviate that friction just by having that transparent experience, I think, is key. Now, when it comes to digital transformation, because a lot is packed into it. So what are a few of those or a couple of those big needle movers in that process that can really make strides for a business in achieving the result they want?
Yeah, we find that trying to empower businesses to do three key things is really important. So, first of all, as we mentioned, make the experience as easy to use as possible. And a real key to doing that is A/B testing. It's experimentation. It's trying to say, okay, what is the best layout of this page? What's the best content? How do we speak about this? What's the right imagery to use to get people to react in the way that we want them to, which ultimately is to purchase, to fill out the form, or whatever that call to action is. And there's no better way to do that than A/B testing because it's objective. It's not based on the background or experience or opinions of people in the room and just what they think. It's based on what people are actually doing. So we find that A/B testing is just huge in that regard. Kind of one level kind of graduated from A/B testing is the importance of personalization. So how can we create an experience that a little bit more mirrors exactly who's on the site and what they need? Now, that may not be possible from the beginning to do on a one-to-one basis, but even if you grouped people, if you knew something as simple as talking about a travel example, people from a certain geographic area. You mentioned you're up in Canada right now. Being able to show you pictures of maybe vacation in the Caribbean right now might be really appealing to you, right? So targeting that to you, whereas me down here in Florida, that's probably not as big of a deal for me. Maybe I need to see some other kind of vacation imagery. So surfacing that kind of content, personalizing that experience so that more likely surfaces the kind of thing I'm looking for is more relevant to me is going to be critical. And then we also find the importance of automated communications. So people aren't always ready to take that action right away. They're still very much in research mode. They're trying to make that decision. So giving them that soft kind of micro conversion, the ability to say, you know what, just to send me more information, and then to send them personalized information based on the experiences they had in the site is also critical because now it keeps you top of mind. It kind of gives you a reason to be able to come back to the site and kind of complete that process of searching and then ultimately making that decision to purchase.
Now, an obvious part to the digital transformation process is likely first-party data, right? And how businesses can use that. Can you talk about the strength or the power of first-party data?
Yeah, I mean, probably from two aspects, right? So first, the more kind of technical / legal aspect of it, it's just easier nowadays. Third-party data is not the easy thing to do as it was maybe 5 or 10 years ago. So leveraging first-party data is just by far the easier way to do it from a legal aspect and from a technical aspect. But also first-party data is going to be the most accurate. It's what people are actually doing on their website. It's more based on explicit actions as opposed to maybe presupposed actions based on third-party data, which is a bit more far removed from the actual person. So if you're able to take actions, make decisions based on what someone has actually done or what they're actually doing, or perhaps even what they're explicitly telling you that they're interested in, well, that's more relevant. That's going to be inherently more valuable. And again, ease of use, relevance, and value. Those are the three things that help people make that decision, that get them through that process. Just the same way as it is in a physical store, you want some things to be easy to find. You want to be able to find the product you want. You want the information about that product, whether it's a price or on the packaging. And you want to know that you're getting good value for your spend. And then you want an easy experience to check out and move along. It's the exact same thing online. It's just a different medium.
It's so important to ensure that you're marrying up that message with the user that is seeing it. And whether it's, whether you're speaking to somebody on a product in a grocery store, or whether you're speaking to somebody in an ad to an audience and leveraging first-party data to kind of custom that message so it appeals more to that person that's seeing it. Super important. What are some things from a digital transformation standpoint that people need to do that have not adopted digital transformation yet to ensure that they are leveraging the first-party data as much as possible?
I think the first thing to do is they need to make friends with IT. I mean, ultimately, the information they want, in some way, form, or fashion, IT owns that information, right? So whether they need to talk to the CRM system, they need to talk to a point of sale system, they need to talk to a customer data platform, right? In some way, form, or fashion, IT is heavily involved, has ownership of those systems. And those systems own the information you need to be able to experiment on your experience, to be able to personalize your experience, to be able to do automated campaigns in that experience, right? To be able to deliver and make sure you're personalizing based on the ads that are driving people to the website. All those things have technical aspects that all involve IT. So the first thing that I would suggest and that marketers often have a challenge with is getting friends with IT. The second thing I would recommend is become a technical marketer. Understand that in today's world, you have got to be a technical marketer. You've got to understand, at least on some level, technically how things work so that you're able to effectively translate those marketing ideas into technical specifications so that the technical folks can accurately deliver on what it is you're trying to do, how you're trying to drive that experience for your customers. There's a lot of complexity that the average person doesn't understand that all takes place kind of hidden in code and in back-end systems. And if you're not at least familiar on a high level with that level of complexity, you're going to find yourself struggling to make that translation. And then you're not going to get from the developers and the engineers what you need to deliver the kind of experiences you want.
Or hire someone who does.
Exactly.
Is what kind of effect is AI and Chat GPT having in the whole digital transformation process? And is it having an effect?
Oh, 100%. In fact, I mean, arguably it's speeding things up, right? It's making it easier and faster to go to market, but it's also at the same time kind of showing you need to have your foundation in place because just like anything else, AI, ChatGPT, those things are learning from the information that it's being fed. And if you don't have that information housed, if you don't have it formatted in such a way that it can feed those AI powered tools, then it's only as good as the information it has. It's only going to do as good as what it's told. So it's incumbent upon us to make sure that information, that data is there. It's properly formatted to feed those tools so that it can make those quick real-time decisions and be able to push out AI powered content or communications or subject lines or messaging or a host of other things that AI we're finding can do. But again, most people don't have that foundation in place to really leverage that. And I think that's where it hurts them.
Yeah, it's a brand new job title, I think, coming in 2023 as a Chat GPT consultant, right? So
Yeah.
I think a lot of people can use it. Like I'm using it right now on a very surface level, getting outlines for social media content plans, using it maybe for some guides for blog content, but
Yeah.
it's going like when Chat GPT 4, when that's released and it connects directly to the internet, like when people have that opportunity, you can use it for messaging, you can use it for setting up all sorts of automations. Are there any automations that you suggest or that you maybe are tackling right now with Chat GPT?
I think that, I'm always of a principle of, hey, let's crawl, let's walk, and then let's run, right? So let's kind of figure out the best way to do this. Let's measure the results, and then let's kind of optimize on top of that. So something like very simple messaging, using that for headlines. We've seen it used for email subject lines, things like that. So starting very lightly with kind of testing messaging that's being generated dynamically by tools like that, I think is a great way to start before you can get into the real heavy lifting of like saying, hey, we're gonna mess around with what promotions we're showing based on this, or what kind of content that we're kind of surfacing on the page based on that kind of intelligence. That's getting more heavy duty, right? And that can get a lot more complicated far more quickly, and it can also be dangerous because you're kind of handing over control of this experience, and if you're not being very judicious about that and kind of measuring what's happened, you can have some negative impacts in your business as well. So definitely much crawl, walk, run approach to that, and just maybe starting with some basic messaging, basic headlines, subject lines, things like that is a way that we're kind of seeing our clients get started.
Great segue. So talking about the crawl aspect of that crawl, walk, run approach, when it comes to digital transformation, what are some of those first initial steps that you do to decide or audit a business that may need a digital transformation?
Yeah. So what we look at is there are certain actions, digital tactics that we consider to be kind of table stakes today, right? So, you have your landing pages in place, you have your purchase funnel in place, you have certain key triggered automations that need to run, a number of other things, and the kind of advertising you're running, whether that's paid search, whether that's paid social, right? You have kind of those table stakes things that are in place. So let's make sure that those things are in place, or if not, let's make sure we get those things in place. That's kind of the first thing, to outline what those key critical digital tactics are. Then to say, okay, well, what do we need in order to deliver those tactics? So what are the technological capabilities we need, and what are the data capabilities we need in order to deliver those tactics? And then how are we measuring the success of those things and making sure that we clearly define those metrics, how those metrics roll up to the key business objectives of the organization so that we can really see the impact of that to the C-suite. And once we kind of lay all that out, define that, and begin to fill in those gaps and kind of say, let's deliver that, now we help take that foundation and build on top of that a framework that says, let's measure success, or let's measure at least what we hope is successful, how we're doing. Let's discern insights from that success. Let's use those insights to drive ideation and ideas for experiments. Those experiments will then yield more data that we can analyze, get more insights, and then you start getting that circle going. And now you're iterating, and now you're changing. So we really try to help people see we need to set up a foundation that's not a set it and forget it, because that can't happen today. Your competitors are making changes, people are changing, the market's changing. You need a framework that's going to constantly change too to keep up with those things. But you need the proper tools in place, the proper tactics in place to deliver on that framework. So it's really about outlining that and then creating that roadmap to say, okay, in order to deliver all these tactics and create that framework, this is step one, this is step two, this is step three. And these things have to happen in a particular order, because you're not going to be able to do what's in step 6 unless those first 5 steps are already established.
There's some local, where we are here in Ontario, Canada, there's some local programs that help facilitate the digital transformation process. However, these programs and grants, there's a beginning and end date to it, right? Where it's just like, you can go in there and give all the consulting and advice on what to do with the digital transformation. But is there an end to it, or is it continuous?
It's kind of a double-edged sword, right? So I think there's an end to it in the sense that, okay, we've established enough of an infrastructure that we can begin to build on top of this and pretty quickly kind of iterate on that, right? But the other end of the sword is that technology is also constantly changing too. All those other factors are changing. Well, so is technology and capabilities. And again, AI, ChatGPT is a great example, right? So now all of a sudden we want to take advantage of this. Well, that's not a part of our current stack. We don't currently have those capabilities. So now we have to say, how do we iterate on our stack and make another level of transformation? How do we kind of graduate and say, now we need to incorporate this capability into our tech stack so that we can take advantage of the tactics that it can drive? So on the one sense, you can set a pretty solid foundation that can get you started, and certainly that can adapt to some level of change. But then as technology improves, capabilities improve, well, now that stack itself, that foundation now needs to kind of be upgraded in the same way as, no matter how good a foundation is in a house, eventually it's going to get some cracks, and you're going to need to make some repairs, perhaps even replace it in order to kind of take things to the next level. The same thing happens when it comes to digital transformation. It's an ongoing process in the sense that eventually you're going to have to transform again and take things to the next level to take advantage of the new world order.
And that's why I love working in digital marketing. For that reason, specifically, everything's are always going to evolve. They're always going to change, and there's always going to be new service offerings for an agency or somebody in the digital marketing space to take advantage of. That's awesome. Shamir, thank you so much for joining. If our audience has any questions for you, what's the best way for them to get in touch?
They can certainly reach out on our website, smartpandalabs.com, or simply reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty easy to find. I'm probably the only Shamir Duverseau there on LinkedIn, so you probably shouldn't have a challenge finding me there.
Shamir, we end every episode with the same question. That question is this: if you can choose one person, dead or alive, to represent your brand, who would it be and why?
Oh, wow. I wasn't ready for that question. Wow, one person, dead or alive, to represent my brand, who would that be and why? Oh, man. I don't know. I'd probably say alive, Michael Jordan.
Nice one.
I think I'd choose Michael Jordan. Just because he is probably in our world the epitome of someone who's made himself a brand. He's probably the one who kind of started that. When it comes to personal branding, he really kind of defined that with what he did with Nike starting back in the 80s. And I think bringing that kind of power to our brand, I would absolutely love that. So I'll go with Michael Jordan.
I always picked his Pro Stars colleague, Bo Jackson.
I like that.
Multiple sport athlete, doesn't just focus on one thing, can be an expert at two. I always picked him, but Michael Jordan, awesome one as well. Shamir, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.